What if it's been 12 months, 16, 2 years, and you're still wondering, did I make the right decision? Should I have stayed? Is it time to leave? It's normal to have these doubts. But how do we know if these doubts are telling us we need to take action and move away from the marriage? Or is there something else going on that we need to really look at? Stay tuned and let's see if we can figure that out. Well, first of all, let's just address the reality. It's totally normal to have doubts. We've made a decision that is huge. It's a decision that impacts us. If we have children, it impacts our children. And we're still trying to grieve. We're still trying to get beyond the betrayal and everything. So it's totally normal to have doubts. So if you're having doubts and you fall into that category where it's been a long time and you still are wondering if you made the right decision, don't beat yourself up too much, okay? This is normal. I just want to affirm that there's absolutely nothing wrong with us if we find ourselves in that situation. Now, if we're wondering, is this because we need to leave the marriage or is it something else? I want to give us some tips to figure out maybe how we can look at this differently. How can we ask the right questions so that we have the clarity we need to make the right decisions when the time comes? So first, stop comparing your situation to what's going on in anybody else's life. If you find that these doubts come into play, let's say, for instance, you have a friend who experienced something similar and she divorced him like right away. And now she's met this amazing man and they have this amazing, relationship and they're going to get married. And you're looking at this thinking, oh my gosh, that could be me. I don't know, maybe it could be. But it's unrealistic to assume that if someone else had that experience, that you too will have that experience. So try to remove yourself from feeling as though you see these things on social media or you talk to your friends, and that could be you on the other side. I'm not saying it can't be, but you don't know, okay? What you know is your current situation. So the grass is always greener mentality is not always a healthy mentality. I'm a firm believer in the grass is greener where you water it kind of situation. Now, of course, in our situation, it also depends on whether our husband is watering the grass as well. But let's just stick to the point. Sometimes these doubts creep up because we have friends in those situations or we see stories about this and we suddenly start having doubts because we wish that could be us. We wish we could start over with some amazing man that is never going to hurt us and all of this. So we start creating this fantasy world and we want to steer clear of that. Okay, again, not saying that couldn't be us, but I hope you get the point. Try to stay out of the fantasies. Try to not compare yourself to other people's stories because I promise you, as many stories as there are of people who go on to have happy, healthy relationships after a situation like we're in, there are also stories that don't end as well. So we can't possibly know. So try to steer clear of that one, okay? But let's kind of look at what may be driving these doubts. These are the kinds of questions we need to ask ourselves. Are we scared? Are these doubts coming from a deep-seated fear? And maybe our fear sounds something like this. Maybe it's, what if he does it again? I'm going to feel so foolish if I put in all this effort and he does it again. Or maybe we just don't want to hurt like this anymore. That's valid, right? None of us want to hurt like this. So maybe it's fear that keeps putting these doubts into us. And that's normal too. I want to affirm all of us. We have been traumatized. We have PTSD. Our lives have almost transformed into a fear-based life, okay? Fear is just kind of what our brain defaults to until we're healed, until we get to a place where we can manage those emotions a little better. Fear is going to drive our train. So is fear causing these doubts? When we see that friend who's got this happy ending, Does the fear in us say, I better get out of this marriage now if I want something like this, because I don't think I could ever have it? Okay, is fear making these doubts come to fruition? Also, are we living a life of what ifs? And this kind of goes back to the fantasy world. Well, what if he cheats on me again? You know, what is my life going to be? What if everything's great for 5 years and then he cheats on me again? That is 5 years I've wasted. You know the mentality, right? We all kind of go through the what ifs. Are what ifs driving your decision-making process? Are what ifs part of what you're struggling with right now, making you doubt your choice to stay in the marriage? Another reason we may have doubts is we feel unsafe. We feel unsafe. Okay, if our spouse, and we talked about the grass greener, right? Whatever you water is going to be the better scenario for you. But if your husband's not watering that grass, if you feel unsafe, is that what is causing your doubts? And if so, what are your next steps? What are you going to do with this? And sometimes the doubts just are there because we're so hurt. We are devastated. So if we're that hurt and we are that devastated, that means that we're going to doubt our choices 24/7. Why did I choose to stay here? Here's the thing. We made a choice to mend a relationship with someone who is the reason why we're hurting. Bottom line, as simple as that. How do we reconcile that in our hearts and in our minds? How do we live every day with the one person that caused us this much pain? And we've made a choice to put ourselves in that position. So it's normal that we're going to have doubts. Did I make the right choice? Can I do this? What if it takes 5 years for me to feel normal again? I don't know if I want to wait. I get it. I get all of those things. You know? So we're all in this position. We've made this choice. And choosing to stay with this person almost puts us in some ways in a perpetual hurt state because we're looking in the face of the person who harmed us. It's challenging to grieve with the person who caused the grief, if that makes any sense. So that could be behind our doubts as well. So I say all this to say, as we explore that in our own situations and we ask ourselves the questions, why am I having these doubts? And we explore these different scenarios, I wonder where we land. Where do we land? If we land that maybe this is a fear-based thing, I don't know, maybe we need to explore that a little bit more. Maybe we need to figure out, well, am I afraid because I'm unsafe? Is my husband not doing his part? Or is my husband doing all of his part and I'm still having fears? Is it the fear I need to address before I decide if I made the right decision or not? But I will tell you this, and I mean this with all my heart. I know this is a group. I know I'm saying wives who stay. I get that. And I was a wife who stayed. But there are scenarios where we don't need to stay. Not every marriage makes it, my friends. I wish that were true. I wish every marriage could mend itself and heal and come out on the other side stronger for it, but that's just not reality. So if you're having doubts and you go through these explorations, you think about, do I feel safe? You think about, you know, am I afraid? Or you think about all the what ifs and all this, and you boil down to, I am unsafe. I do not believe he's going to change, and I've given him every opportunity to do the right thing and to commit to me in our marriage, but he continues to hurt me. If you land in somewhere like that, unfortunately, you may be onto something when it comes to doubting whether you stayed. And if you're in that situation, I am so, so sorry. But you did all you could. Sometimes we just need to be able to look in the mirror and say, I did everything I could. And it's time for me to walk away. Now, on the flip side of that, if you go through these questions and you realize that you're just afraid of being hurt again and your husband's doing all the right things, if you're in counseling right now, really dig deep with your counselor to figure out, how can I overcome this fear? How can I manage the stress and these emotions that come along with the hurt that I am experiencing. Because once you can manage those things and can be in the moment with your husband, when you can enjoy his presence, when you can start to be intimate again, things like that, those doubts start getting to be fewer and far between. So explore these questions, see where you land, and see if that helps you determine whether these doubts are for real or if they're things that maybe you need to work on yourself. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, I have many more. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. I would love for you to be notified every time a new one drops, so make sure you subscribe. And I've got some goodies listed right underneath this video, so make sure you click all the links and join in and get all the free stuff. Until we see each other again, take care.